Ubisoft just announced Tom Clancy's XDefiant, Ubisoft original, a first-person multiplayer shooter. Well, let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Steve Saylor. I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I'm able to play video games if I'm blind, if you take a look at the video here, and the video is not there, click the link in the description down below to see exactly what I see when I'm playing video games. So yes, Tom Clancy. Ubisoft just announced a new Tom Clancy franchise game, where essentially it's a multiplayer first-person shooter. It's a little bit crazy. It's kind of taken the Tom Clancy franchises that they've created and sort of combined them all into this sort of like a shooter, but they call it with sort of like a punk mosh pit kind of style to it, and I can totally see why. When in an interview that that the developers did for like they talked with Yusuf Majid over at Ubisoft, there was some details that we were able to find from that interview. They said it's going to be a closed beta on PC in US and Canada only on August 5th, so you can be able to register to be able to play that on a closed beta. It's made by Ubisoft San Francisco, which is actually pretty interesting. We've normally seen a lot of games coming out of the Montreal office, the Toronto office, the Quebec City office, and even Ubisoft's Massive. But essentially, like, this is kind of like one of the few times we get to see Ubisoft San Francisco kind of come out and shine, which is awesome. It's going to be, like I said, multiplayer first-person shooter. It's class-based gameplay. You can play as one of the factions, and they're from different include Tom Clancy franchises. You have the Wolves, which are Ghost Recon. They're going to be your tanks. You have Cleaners and Outcasts from the Division. Your Cleaners are going to be your Assault class, and Outcasts are going to be healers. Then you have Echelon, which is from Splinter Cell, and they're going to be your support characters. And then within those factions, there's going to be characters called Defiants, which are you can be able to kind of customize as sort of your own players, and that's kind of how that sort of fits in with your own customizability of within that faction. You can be able to kind of set like skins, and you can customize your weapons and stuff like that, which is really cool. When you do jump into a multiplayer match, you actually are not committed to a loadout when you jump in. You can reload a new loadout or class each time you spawn, which is awesome. Maps are unique and designed from different franchises. I saw like there was a New York one, it looked like there was one that looked like it was on a Hollywood backlot, that looked like an old west town, which looked kind of fun. There's 10 maps and 5 modes currently that are going to be available as of right now. 7 arena maps and 3 linear maps. 3 different modes for arena maps. We have Domination, Ringleader, and Upload. And then 2 modes for linear maps, Escort and Zone Control. It looks like that the way they kind of described it is that there's going to be modes for all different styles of play. So obviously there's a few that we kind of recognize from other different multiplayer games, and it'll be something that if you're just a casual gamer or a hardcore competitive gamer, there's going to be something in here for all different types of players. They did say that there will be new maps and modes regularly added throughout the life of the game, and that's something they did make mention in an interview, is that they are in this for the long haul. They want to continue to support this game, which is something that there was concern about with regards to Hyperscape, whether they're going to cancel that or actually keep that going, which is their other battle royale first-person shooter multiplayer game. They did say, Mark Rubin actually did say that number one things I want to say about the team is that we are just here to make the game that people enjoy. So that kind of they're focusing on I guess the idea is that gaming is for everyone, regardless if you are casual gamers or you're just interested in first-person shooters and you just want to have some fun, to the ones that just want to be able to compete on possibly a professional level. They made a specific messaging that they want to be focused on being transparent to the community, and if they make mistakes, they will always own up to it, which is so that they can be able to improve, which is something that I think Ubisoft desperately needs at this point with the issues that Ubisoft has had over the past years with some of their leadership and how they've sort of treated the developers that kind of underneath in their teams. They definitely, I think this is the start of them sort of basically trying to own that message back, being like, okay, we need to be as transparent. They obviously haven't really fixed a lot of the issues, particularly within Ubisoft. There's been some stories about that recently, but I always will say I will always support the developers, and because they definitely work hard in making their games, and that's all I'll say on the matter. So with that being said, my kind of general thoughts on XDefiant, Aesthetically, this looks pretty cool. I like the sort of the style that they're going for. It has kind of like almost a like Watch Dogs meets Epic Legends meets Tom Clancy kind of like it just there's a lot of different like influences you can be able to see in the game and in the gameplay in and of itself, and they definitely want to be able to make something that's fun. What I'm curious about, and is something that I want to be able to see, and they haven't really sort of shown that as of yet, is that what will make this game stand out amongst its peers when it comes to multiplayer games, including even their own, which is Rainbow Six. I think it's cool, and I like the fact that they're sort of trying to be able to appeal to a wide audience when it comes to multiplayer first-person shooters, but I don't see, at least from what they showed today, what will make them stand out other than the aesthetics of the game. The gameplay in the game itself is going to be the thing that's going to try to be able to get, you need to be able to have that in order to be able to keep a player base and keep their community going. Otherwise, people are just going to drop in and then drop out really quickly when they find that there's not much to do. This is not any fault to Ubisoft or whichever. I think that there's potential in this. We just haven't seen sort of the thing that will make it stand out other than just the aesthetic of it, which is cool, but still not enough, I think, for some players that are looking to be able to jump into a new multiplayer first-person shooter game. Now, when it comes to the accessibility side, that's something that I'm actually interested in. The first time that they ever were able to sort of start from scratch with a multiplayer game with accessibility and policies in mind was with Hyperscape, and obviously that didn't really sort of hit the way that they wanted to. So this is kind of what it looks like it's going to be, kind of the first sort of multiplayer first-person shooter that they get to build from scratch, that essentially hopefully will be able to include the accessibility policies that Ubisoft has sort of set in place, and the teams that they have in place to be able to help try to be able to make this game as accessible as possible. Which also brings up the idea of, like, this is going to be an interesting thing for a multiplayer standpoint, because right now there isn't a lot of multiplayer games that have a focus on accessibility from the ground up. And also the way to be able to kind of compete on a competitive professional level, there hasn't been a lot of room for people with disabilities to be able to kind of like jump in and actually feel like that they can be able to compete. Because when you have a player base that, say for instance, uses auto aim as they sort of see that as a cheating mechanism in the game, but in reality it's more for accessibility. That's something that I'm very curious to see how Ubisoft is going to tackle that, adding in accessibility without sort of feeling like that people are going to accuse other players of cheating because they're using these accessibility options, regardless of the fact of whether they're disabled or not. It just really depends. I'm curious to see kind of like how Ubisoft tackles this. And that's the thing that I'm interested in most about this, is like, what is Ubisoft going to do with their stance on making their games as accessible as possible, but then also creating a game that's compelling for multiplayer and for first-person shooters and that kind of audience. So that's it. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm gonna wait to see more. I've registered, but I prefer to play on console, so I'm not gonna be able to play on PC. Who knows? I might be able to jump in if Ubisoft sort of sends me in there. I have no idea. I have not heard anything from Ubisoft specifically, but we'll see. And come August 5th, we'll see kind of how players sort of enjoyed, and kind of see how they're able to jump in and what they think. So that's it for me. If you liked this video, please give it a like. If you want to be able to see more of my videos, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified as to when new videos come out, make sure you hit the bell notification icon. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments down below. That's it. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, I remain obediently yours. Bye.